Yo, 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 yo. Okay, we are running off a new mixer right now. I literally just set it up right this instant. So, what is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the W.A.D.E Concept Podcast. I hope audio's good. Let me actually check it really quick. Just set it up
Oh, it sounds
right this
beautiful.
instant. It sounds beautiful. We have a new audio mixer. It sounds amazing. Hopefully, you guys don't have any problem with me checking the sound like I do at the beginning of the podcast. But if you do, it doesn't matter what you. Yes, it does. It matters. It does matter what you think. You guys are my community. I love you to death. But yes, this is the W.A.D.E Concept Podcast. Welcome in. For those of you that are new, make sure you like and subscribe. Hit that notify bell if you want to keep up to date when we go live like this, which we do 3 times a week. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today. But we are back after a couple days of a rest. Sunday and Monday we took off. Well, not even Sunday, Monday. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. We had the Super Bowl. I keep thinking that the Jake Paul thing was on Saturday, and I think I even put that in my tweet. I might need to go back and fix that later. But it is what it is. Yeah, we're back, guys. So today we have a couple things. We're gonna review the Jake Paul and Nissan Gibb fight and kind of how that went down and what Jake looked like, and if he is as good as he looked on Thursday night. We'll discuss that. We're gonna discuss a little bit of UFC 247. Not too much in depth of it because we are going to do a predictions podcast on Thursday. So you guys will see that then. We have a video coming up tomorrow as well, breakdown of John Jones and Dominic Reyes. So as you guys can see and kind of tell, I'm sure, a lot of content being produced for you guys. If this is like crazy loud, let me know. I can always do one of those numbers and have it down because I'm still working with this thing. So I can't tell how loud I actually am. And it's partly because of my headphones, which I have to get a new pair of headphones too. I figured that out today. So, we're going to be discussing that all today. But before we do, like I said, like and subscribe. If you guys are new, hit that notify bell to stay up to date. And possibly you guys have been asking, especially recently, you guys have been asking about Patreon and ways to donate and, merch, stuff like that. We might be looking at opening up a Patreon for the podcast. If you guys want to donate there and have that option, please let me know in the comments below if that's something you guys want. Again, I'll never ask you to do that. We'll have specific reward tiers and different options for people that do that, but let me know. Something I've been thinking about, and because you guys had mentioned it, I wanted to mention it now on stream, so let me know. But okay, let's first talk about what happened Thursday night, and I think we all know at this point what happened. Jake Paul versus a Nissan Gibb, and kind of what's happened after that. So, Thursday night, we had 2 YouTubers going at it in Miami, Florida, Jake Paul and Nissan Gibb, and it was kind of, contested as to what's going to happen in that fight. We didn't really know, is it going to be a 6-round war, which I thought it was going to be a 6-round decision. I didn't think it was going to be a 6-round war. We didn't know if Gibb was going to come up and show us something that we hadn't seen yet, or if Jake was going to be more improved and be less hittable than he was in the DAZN fight. And lo and behold, we got something completely off base, something I didn't even know we would get at all, and that was a stoppage. The first stoppage in professional YouTube boxing, and really the first stoppage on that grand of a scale for any amateur/YouTuber that has participated. I know there was a YouTube MMA event in the UK, the Fame MMA event, and we might actually take a look at that and react to that because I heard it was hot garbage, to be honest with you. But we will react to it and see kind of what happened there and what went down. But this looked legit, and it looked legit because Jake Paul and a Nissan Gibb, to be fair to him, took it very seriously. And they trained. Jake trained 5-6 months in Big Bear, which is close to where I live in California. Gibb was in Vegas training at Mayweather's gym, so the guys took it serious, and then we got into the fight, and the first thing I noticed right off the bat was that Jake was very poised. Gibb was a lot of moving around. He was doing a good job of slipping shots. I will give Nissan Gibb the credit he deserves. He was slipping some shots early in the fight. He was making Jake miss, and this is, again, a short amount of time that we had to go off of, so that's kind of going to lead into what I think about this fight in general as we move forward in the discussion. But the fight starts. Gibbs doing a good job getting his head off the center line, but he's very fidgety, right? He's very kind of happy feet. Jake wasn't. Jake was very calm, very composed, and showed crisp shots. Really showed an understanding of when to throw, what amount of effort to use in those throws. And if you go back and watch, he lands a big right hand really quickly after the kind of the first and second exchange, and they regroup, and Jake lands a big right hand and puts Gibb down. And I think it was from there. What's up, Tommy? How you doing, man? Big Tommy. How's the audio sound, Tommy? I'm trying to figure out. I just got a new mixer for the channel. Let me drive the bus. Hey, anybody that wants to drive the bus, man. I'm looking for bus drivers, bandwagon drivers here at the W.A.D.E Concept. You want to hop on the bandwagon, let me know. Sounds good? Sweet. So I got this new mixer. I'm not going to pull it up to where you guys can see it, but I got it so we can do a couple of things. I've been trying to find a way to control the audio in my chat, not only like for you guys, but for me. So we waxing those nose hairs or what? Yo, chill, bro. Chill. We'll talk about predictions on Thursday. We got some fun ones, man. I think it's gonna be a fun card. I get down. You know what I'm saying? I might even need the old whiskers trimmed. You feel me? That's Kelsey would know more than I do, but I'm just saying I gets down. So whatever it is, I'm down for it. Like I said, no bodily harm. Don't get me kicked off YouTube. Nothing with the I don't know if we can do more waxing, man. The waxing was rough on me, but like I said, keep it in mind, guys, because Thursday, it's terrible. Yeah, I don't know about that. I've seen some of it, and it looks like brush for like a brush fire gets pulled out of there from some people. But keep it in mind for Thursday. We are going to be doing some predictions wagers for the UFC 247 card. John Jones, the GOAT, as he's better known in the MMA world, he will be on the main event with Dominic Reyes, former collegiate football player, undefeated prospect. Good matchup, and we'll talk more about that. You guys will see more of that tomorrow in the video we have coming out, which I'm excited about. I just recorded that one. But, I was talking about my mixer. My mixer is so that you guys can not only hear, like, audio, which you guys can, but if I want to control volume, it's kind of tough. In the bone. It's good, though, right? What's good, though? I'm confused, Daniel. But yeah, so you guys can have like multiple sets of audio. Plus, if we ever do, which I'm considering, and we're going to talk about this later in the podcast, considering interviews, sometimes in live format, sometimes pre-recorded, but we're going to start doing some interviews and really getting some fighters on this channel, which I've wanted to do for a long time, and we actually have a way in to do that, and it's a guy from my hometown that's actually fighting now, so he's going to be the first fighter interview on this podcast if we can set that up and get it ready. But that's why I got the new mixer and, just some other stuff that we'll talk about as we end the podcast today. But yes, sorry. Back to discussion. Jake Paul. I mean, this is what I'll say about the Jake Paul Gibb fight. Jake showed a good understanding of the stuff. If I don't stop by too much, got to train. Hey, no, you're Daniel. Don't worry about it, brother. Like I said, I've always said this, and I'll continue to say it. Life happens, man. Life happens for everybody. Things you got to do in your own personal life that you can't stop by and you can't do this. That's why we do these in live stream and the video saved in VOD format. So if you can't make the live streams, you can go back and watch the VODs and still get the content. So that's why we kind of do this. So if you can't see it live, it's always there for you to go back and watch. So no worries. But so the Jake Paul fight, man, this is what I'll say. Jake didn't look bad at all. He looked very good for an amateur boxer, for a guy that making his professional debut is kind of a way to water that down. I don't think he looked like a guy making his professional debut. He looked like an amateur boxer. But he looked good. He had, crisp punches, was patient. That was the thing that I was surprised with Jake so much, and he continues to surprise me, is how patient he is. How he doesn't, if he hurts you, he doesn't just go crazy and freak out and want to put you away right there and overextend and put himself in a bad position. He's very patient. And that's what he showed against Gibb, and that's what kind of, I don't want to say surprised me as much as it impressed me, that he was able to stay composed in a venue that I think someone in chat told me that they had built just for those two guys, and he was able to maintain that under pressure and on a big stage with DAZN and in the co-main event. I know it wasn't the main event, but pretty much to everybody that was watching that card, especially through the app, it was the main event. You didn't buy that card to really see the main event, and that's no disrespect to the main event or anybody else on that card, but Jake Paul and Gibb were kind of the reason that you bought that card. So he impressed me there, but if I'm going to look at it and say, did he do something that was shocking to me as somebody that I'm a competitor in my own right. If I'm watching Jake fight and I'm doing a film session on Jake and maybe we do this and for my own, say I wanted to fight Jake, which I do and I plan on doing at some point in my life. That didn't impress me as far as a one-on-one matchup with myself or someone that is experienced enough to handle basic shots, a basic right hand, a basic right straight, combination to the body, stuff that wouldn't just put a guy away that's just not charging forward with his chin straight up in the air and getting clipped. That didn't impress me too much. And to be fair, I thought that was worth my money to watch it because I did want to see the improvements in both guys and especially in Jake. Jake still gets hit, still not inept at trying to get his head off the center line. I mean, Gibb hit him with an overhand right. Didn't really hurt Jake too much, but it did stop a little bit of the momentum. He had to reset and then get back into his rhythm to knock him down once again. We saw the check left hook come out. We predicted that being a big weapon of Jake's for him to use in the fight. It was the second knockdown where Gibb kind of slipped and fell over. Jake threw out this check left hook, moving backward. So that was, like I said, a lot of the stuff that we saw was kind of predictable. I think we didn't see it going in the first round. We thought Jake would do more of that for 6 rounds because the shots he hit Gibb with, the first one was a legit right hand, cracked him, and the third one. But as far as the shots that he hit him with, they weren't putting most guys away, even with 10-ounce gloves. But I think that the forward motion of Gibb and Jake's ability to be accurate under pressure, which, again, was impressive, kind of added up to those two things. If you need someone to interview, I'm here. No money needed. We're gonna try to get some people in, and we got to figure it out and see how it works. But I got you guys. We'll figure it. Maybe we'll do like a ask a Q&A or something on my Discord, and we can get some of the chat up in there. It says, man, I saw something that Logan Paul might box Antonio Brown. So I saw that too. So kind of in closing about the Jake Paul card, listen, I've said this. Amaro's been in the chat. He said it. Jake Paul, you're looking for a sparring partner, somebody that's going to get you ready for KSI. Somebody that legitimately can present some problems for you. I live 60 miles away in Orange County. I know I don't have a crazy following on YouTube. I know I'm not Sergey, who had in camp with you. That's an undefeated middleweight. Probably going to be a world champion in the next year. But if you're looking for somebody to come and give you some problems, or at least something you can try to solve, not saying you will, but you can try to solve it. Your boy's right here in Orange County, so holler at me. Right, so Josh kind of sums up what I was saying in a pretty short amount of words, so I appreciate Josh here. He says, Jake Paul definitely has some skill, but it's also easy to look good if you're fighting someone who is not skilled themselves. Either way, you put on a good show. 100%. There's no denying that under the circumstances provided, Jake Paul, for every part of him that I can't stand, he came out and performed. And that's all you can ask of the guy, and you can't ask him to have a better opponent across from him. You can't ask him to train better and be better an opponent for himself. He's got to worry about himself, show up to the fight, and whatever happens on the other end happens on the other end. He just performs the best he can. So it's not his fault that Gibb wasn't necessarily the best boxer in the world, but he did what he had to do and put on a good performance. And again, Josh says KSI will be a more challenging fight, 100%. 100%. Yeah, Daniel, go spam him. I don't care, man. Somebody get this kid's attention. Jake Paul doesn't want that smoke. But yeah, I think KSI will definitely be a more challenging fight. Not necessarily that KSI is more technical than Gibb. I don't think he is. I really don't. I think he has a better gas tank. I don't know about the chin. It's tough to say. Logan didn't really test his chin, and the one time he did, he cracked KSI, and obviously the 2 points and all that, but he cracked him with a big-time uppercut. So I just think KSI is more methodical about it. I don't think KSI is just going to blitz forward. He'll pressure Jake, but I don't think he'll blitz forward, chin straight out in the air, and just get cracked over and over. So I do think that'll be a more challenging fight. I just want to see how Jake handles more of a wild kind of throwing style versus a wild, aggressive forward style. When's that merch dropping? Merch is dropping when Kelsey and I can get together on a design. We're working on something for you guys, though. It's something with the new logo versus the old one, but we'll do some retro stuff. It's going to take a while. I'm not going to lie to you guys. It's going to take a while because we're trying to revamp the content side of this for you and really build the community within the W.A.D.E concept before we even think about like merch and stuff like that. But like I said, we were talking, I don't remember who it was in chat was asking me about Patreon stuff. If you guys really want to do the Patreon, or you want me to develop a Patreon stuff, I won't develop it for it just to be, you guys, me having a Patreon. It would be something to where I can have tiers and have you guys special content, Q&A stuff, one-on-one, whatever it is, coaching, fitness stuff we're going to get into as well, that you guys can pay to be a part of. And that would be the only way I do a Patreon. I'm not just going to do it to do it. You guys would get some, more added bonus content for that. So if you guys want that, let me know in the chat or in the comments, because I am trying to bolster the podcast more. And that just, for me, that means growing this community. And that's really my biggest goal, is growing this community and providing you guys with cool content. Josh says Jake has a good style. If he's fighting someone who's coming forward, I think that'll shoot him better than somebody that's trying to box him. Yeah, I want to see these guys like box an actual patient boxer. I want to see what they do. I would love to see some of that footage between Jake and Sergey, where Sergey was eating him alive, as Shane Mosley said. Shane Mosley was saying he'd eat him alive. Appreciate it, Daniel. Thank you. Shane Mosley was saying that he had Sergey and was just eating Jake up with the body shots and ripping him and staying patient. And Jake was taking him, but I would like to see what would happen if Jake had to be if he had to actually box, if he had to practice the sweet science versus just being able to counterpunch guys, and we'll see. We'll see. Jake will definitely have more on his hands with KSI. He'd have a lot more in his hands with your boy here. So look out for me in the next. Oh yeah, you gonna get fighting another run, Josh? Let's go, man. Let's go. That's Josh, Daniel. I think Amaru has a buddy, so he's doing some amateur stuff. We got a lot of fighters in my community, man. I love that. We definitely will, Josh. We'll be looking out for you. Obviously, you let us know when you fight, or if you send me footage of you fighting, we'll react to it on stream. I love that kind of stuff, man. Please, anybody that has footage, any kind of that stuff, hit me up on Twitter, hit me up on Instagram, and we can definitely, we're going to make that a part of this community, man. Oh, y'all don't want to see Tommy Camel with the hands, though. Tommy Campbell's, low-key, Tommy Campbell, he's got some quick hands. Tommy's quick, man. I remember Tommy being super quick. But yes, please, if you guys are amateurs, or if you're starting your professional career, or just starting your fighting career in general, and you're a part of this community, and you want to show us some of that footage, we are all here to support you guys. Like I said, I'm the figurehead. It's the W.A.D.E concept because I thought of the name in a bedroom when I was trying to develop something in Florida. But it's so much more about you guys. So I'm always down to do that stuff. But yeah, of course, Josh, yes. You got it. Might be a while. Hey, man, it doesn't matter now. 2 years from now, we'll be here, so I don't mind at all. But so yeah, that's kind of what happened with Jake Paul. And then Tommy was asking about Logan Paul and Antonio Brown. I don't even know what's going on with Antonio Brown. The guy has just I think he got cited or was accused in some battery charges against his baby's mom. He said, "Let's go, Tommy." I don't know. Tommy's tough, man. Tommy gives some people props. But yeah, Antonio Brown was caught up in some stuff with his baby mom, and then he's down in Miami talking to Logan Paul at a nightclub about let's get it signed, let's do it. In this day and age, man, did they have Antonio Brown hitting the bag? No, I haven't seen that. I actually have not. I have not seen that. If they have that, I'm going to watch it right now. But no, so they're in a nightclub and they were talking it out, dogging each other. I'll watch it after stream. Tommy says he's been training MMA for over 2 years now. He's all right. Shoot, 2 years. That's damn near more experience than I have. But yeah, I'll take a look at it. Yeah, I mean, in this day and age, man, I can see it happening. Like, it's not far-fetched to believe that Antonio Brown and Logan Paul could get in a boxing ring. I mean, look at it this way. Antonio Brown doesn't have the NFL or the Players Association or any kind of team barring him from doing it, and all he can stand to do is make a little more money. I mean, at this point, it's like, what's to stop him in this crazy circus that is fighting now? And Logan Paul obviously has got really good relationships with the DAZN. I think he had lunch with Scott Coker, who is the president of Bellator MMA as well. So he's got good relationships. He knows how to build a fight. He knows how to draw in eyes for a fight. If you don't believe me, just look at the pay-per-view sold from KSI, not only the last time with DAZN, but on their own independently. And you account for illegal streams, all that, they almost did 1.1 in their first fight as amateurs. So Logan knows how to sell a fight. He knows how to bring viewership in, and they can make a ton of money. I don't know how that goes, though. I'd have to see this video that Tommy's talking about. Josh said he's seen it. I'll have to see this video that he's talking about and judge how Antonio looks. I know he's got some of the nastiest footwork, or did, in the NFL as a receiver, and usually that can translate over pretty well to other sports, but boxing is just different, man. It's different. I don't care how good your footwork is until you do it in a boxing ring or you do it in conjunction with moving your upper body. It's not like running or riding a bike, man. It's definitely different. But and Tommy says no wrestling though, just Muay Thai and BJJ. Honestly, man, wrestling is a great base to have, but if you're later in life and you're trying to learn different aspects of MMA and different aspects of combat, I think BJJ and Muay Thai are two of the best. Because, again, if you're learning strictly boxing or you're learning to strictly wrestle, it isn't as applicable unless you can add a little bit of those intricacies in. Whereas Muay Thai and BJJ, at least you can protect yourself in different environments. I know in law enforcement especially, BJJ is really leaned upon because, again, you're in situations where you don't know what the other person is capable of, and not only can you use your BJJ/wrestling grappling to disarm a person, but also apprehend them if they're trying to run, whatever it is. And just your Muay Thai is great to have if you need to push someone away, learn how to use your limbs to push people away, to get them out of the range of that danger, and also if you want to crack somebody. Says he looks good on the bag, but his feet are all over the place. He doesn't know where to plant his feet. Yeah, that tends to be kind of what happens, especially when you're new into training. And I can speak for this because I've done it and still have problems with it. If I'm trying to, I'm working on right now switching stances. If I'm trying to fluidly switch stance or pivot into southpaw, not moving forward but moving laterally, without a drop step or a switch kick, sometimes my feet get crazy and I have to kind of reset myself. So I'm still in that position where I want to be more explosive and twitchy and fast, but it has to come from the ground up. You can throw all the jabs and straights and hooks and the power shots. They're not doing anything if those feet and those hips aren't there. Looks like he's trying to run in place while throwing punches on the bag. That's funny. Feet is horrible. He looks uncomfortable. Yeah, I mean, that's typical, beginner stuff. Your feet are just not there because you're used to, how many people really have to throw punches in their life? And if they do, how many people really know that, confidently that they're going to be able to land those consistently? Not a lot of people are having to do that. So when you go to train and do it, you just think it's all, from here. And I've seen guys throw it from here where there's no effort behind it or no power behind it because your hips aren't involved at all. It's kind of one of these things where it's just nothing, there's nothing there. It's like a pillow hitting you. So it's just, inexperience, but I do want to see that video. Tommy says, yeah, all my law enforcement confrontations, I've used BJJ, never had to throw a strike. Yeah. I mean, there's some statistic out there. I don't know the number, but I'm pretty sure it's like, 95% of street fights or altercations in public end in some sort of grappling confrontation, and they usually end in about 30, 35 seconds. So, as much as I love Muay Thai and I love the art of the 8 limbs, realistically, if I were to get into it with somebody that knew what they were doing grappling-wise where I'm just kind of learning, I might have some problems because I'm not going to just head kick every person that runs at me, right, or be able to time a knee like Conor McGregor. Those things are in a real-life application, they're not as useful if you aren't just an expert at it as, grappling situations would be. Police here, I'm out. Yeah, you got to watch your P's and Q's around Tommy, man. Tommy don't play no games. That's funny. But yeah, so that's kind of what I think about the Logan Paul Antonio Brown thing. I think it could be done. Again, who knows? It might actually get done, which is crazy to say that Antonio Brown and Logan Paul could box, but I think Logan said he's wanting to do MMA. I mean, obviously, the Antonio Brown fight makes more sense as far as, fame and money and notoriety for him. So he'd probably do that first. So, I could see it happening. I could see it happening as close as, the fall of this year. So who knows, man? Got some pad footage? Okay, Daniel, sweet. Yeah, whatever you guys want to send me, man, I don't mind. Just send it to my Instagram, my Twitter. Okay, so let's talk about UFC 247, man. Let's talk about that. Yeah, it's the name of Antonio Brown. Like, I heard that Logan wants to do an MMA bout, and I think we are going to react to that now that I said it. We're going to react to that Fame MMA promotion thing they did in the UK. And JMX was like their co-main or headliner, I think, and he had called out Logan for an MMA fight. So we're going to react to that, and that would make sense as far as the YouTuber versus YouTuber thing. But, I mean, Antonio Brown, no offense to JMX, the guy's got way more, fame, whatever, than I do on this platform. But Antonio Brown's here. JMX is, for Logan Paul, he's down here. It doesn't make anywhere near the amount of sense as it would with a name like Antonio Brown, especially here in the States. So, but yeah. So UFC 247, that is coming up this Saturday. We are going to be doing a live stream reaction. We will be here for all the fights. I think we might not watch the entire prelim card like we have done in the past. We might skip a couple of the fights in the prelims just so we can get it set up, get ready to go, rock and roll type thing. But we will be here for the majority of the prelim and main card, obviously the full main card. And for 247, man, not a lot of I'm don't know, say I'm shocked because this has happened more and more recently, especially with John Jones fights. But I'm kind of scratching my head, and I do every time as to why John Jones just cannot seem to draw. Like, what has happened to John Jones' draw ability? It's not that he's ever been a super big draw, and he hasn't. But the Daniel Cormier fights always did really well. The second Gustafsson fight did okay. I think it did 500,000 plus pay-per-view buys. But what has happened to John Jones' ability to draw? And Tommy makes a good point. It's that everybody knows or, assumes that John Jones is going to win. And when you have a guy like Dominic Reyes who presents some problems, he really does. And I know I say this. I said it about Gustafsson. I said it about Cormier the second time. But I really do think that every time that, and especially Thiago Santos, that came out of nowhere for me. I thought John was going to steamroll Thiago Santos, and I probably got caught up in the same thing Tommy's talking about where, I thought, okay, he's just another guy at 205, and Thiago's lost a ton of fights at 185. Then he goes on this blitz of a run at 205, and really, I mean, gave John the biggest scare of anybody as far as taking that strap from him. That's the closest I've ever seen anybody come to beating John Jones. So you come into this fight, and you would think with that kind of chink in John's armor that the parity would allow for more people to say, hey, look, if Thiago Santos, who comes forward, great Muay Thai, great striker, eats John up on the feet, and Dominic Reyes is knocking fools dead with that left hand, you would think that people would get the idea that, okay, Dom Reyes, especially approaching John's height, not necessarily the reach advantage. No one's really touching John's reach advantage, but the 12-0, young guy, crazy good athlete against John Jones. And, not only does Dom have a lot of great attributes, but he's also a guy that's not afraid to come out and say, I'm going to knock John Jones out. I'm going to knock him out. Like, a lot of guys are very respectful to John, and not saying that Dominic's not, but he's also very brash. He's very confident in himself, and he has good reason to be. The guy's undefeated. So I just look at this fight and this card, and I'm just I always do this. I always do this with John Jones. I'm like, man, what is left for him at 205? I always say it, and I think you guys probably say it as well. Tommy says, yeah, but John tried to stand with him more than he should have. His level of competition, his opponents aren't huge names anymore, just expects him to win a drawn-out decision. Dom truly thinks he's going to win 100%. And I agree with you guys. Look, John should not have tried to stand and have a Muay Thai match and a kickboxing match with Thiago Santos. But he did. And a lot of people thought he lost that fight, but it doesn't matter because the judges thought he won that fight. Personally, I thought that John did enough to win that fight and keep his title. But probably not the best idea. I think he was trying to prove a point. I think Jon Jones, this is what this discussion comes down to for me, and this is kind of what I'm going to talk about more in my video tomorrow, but I have this feeling, and it's not necessarily a crazy notion, but Jon Jones to me seems complacent. Jon seems bored at 205. And it's why I asked this question, what's left for Jon there? Why have we not figured out a way to get Jon to heavyweight? And I don't think it's Jon's problem. I don't think it's Jon's fault, actually. I think the UFC is content with having Jon stay at 205 right now. It's because they have the DC-Stipe matchup. They have rumblings, no pun intended, but they have rumblings of Anthony Johnson coming back at some point. I don't know what happened to that. Maybe they're looking to do that matchup for Jon as an introduction to heavyweight. You have Francis Ngannou at the doorstep at heavyweight. All of a sudden, heavyweight's clogged. And Jon's been talking about going to heavyweight for years, but it doesn't seem like even the demand is there for that. So it's always something with Jon. It feels like even the matchups that would present that big, payday and big money matchup for Jon, the UFC aren't really interested in right now. They're interested in the DC Stipe matchup more than Jon Stipe at the moment. So when you lay all the cards on the table, you have a guy that's very motivated and Dominic Reyes. And I'm not saying motivating is the only factor in this fight. Jon is one of the most skilled martial artists, if not the most skilled martial artist to ever live. But you have a very motivated Dominic Reyes for this fight, and you have a very audibly non-motivated Jon Jones to the point where he says, look, this fight doesn't excite me. At least it's what he had been saying for 2, 3, 4 months before the fight was made. Then all of a sudden the fight excited him. So you look at it, and the problems start to kind of add up for a guy like Jon Jones. And while we're not going to get predictions today, I do think that this card could be more interesting than your typical Jon Jones, 5-round decision, or Jon Jones 5-round demolishing and then a submission late, or a ground and pound stoppage late. I do think that Dominic Reyes, with his strong hips, his ability to land crisp strikes, his leg kicks to Jon's skinny-ass chicken legs, and again, his takedown, I don't want to say his takedown defense, but his ability to scramble, which he's done against a ton of guys, could be a problem for Jon, but, we'll save that for my video tomorrow. Okay, Tommy says, I won't be excited for a Jon fight until he fights Izzy next year, moves up, fights Francis or Stipe. Josh says Ngannou versus Jones would be a big fight. I think it'd be a winnable fight for Jones. Yeah, that'd be a huge fight. That's the fight where I think if we went back over our predictions, that's the fight that I want. And that's the fight I said Jon would beat Francis Ngannou for that strap and in 2020 or go into 2021 as the heavyweight title holder. That's what I thought, because I thought, okay, Stipe DC sometime in International Fight Week. That fight hasn't even been scheduled yet. And I thought, okay, Stipe gets through that or DC gets through that, drops the belt. Francis versus Stipe. Francis gets the jump on him this time. Jon versus Francis. Jon beats Francis. Daniel, no sweat, big dog. That's okay. So I'm more excited to see Sean O'Malley fight. Yeah, I'm excited to see Sugar Sean fight, man. It's that old supply and demand factor, right? Like Sugar Sean O'Malley has been out for so long, and to the point where some people have forgotten that he's even in the UFC, and that's not his fault. He's had some crazy, crazy disputes with USADA and kind of some unfair treatment as far as kind of what he's been suspended for and how long he's been suspended for it. So the more people demand, the more people are like, oh yeah, Sean O'Malley's about to fight. That'll really, and of course the way he fights, he's a star in the octagon. He has crazy striking, good scramble ability, good long, lanky shots too. When he turns those things over, they land. So I'm excited to see Sean O'Malley fight. Josh says, I remember when Jones beat our hometown guy, Rashad Evans, if he fights. I know. God bless. I hope Sean nothing happens to Sean O'Malley before his fight. And yeah, man, Jon Jones and Rashad were back then really good friends, or at least at some point really good friends, training partners. And then, Rashad kind of got pushed out of Jackson Wink, got pushed out of kind of that whole camp. And Jon was the young rising guy, and they kind of gathered toward Jon, and Jon put on a show that night. But I do remember that fight too. Young Jon, man, really young Jon Jones, 22-year-old Jon Jones, or no, 24-year-old Jon Jones, I think. But yeah, that was those days where those are the days where Jon came into the octagon and you didn't really know. Like, it was so hard to prepare for Jon Jones because he had shown little by little over the 7 or 8 or 9 fights on his way to the title, little improvements, whether it was in his striking, whether it was these crazy suplexes or inside trips, his explosive wrestling, his flying knees, his jumping strikes. the teep kicks. He brought something new every time he came to the octagon. Submissions. And now we're at a point in John's career where he doesn't really surprise you. John has all the tools so that something he does, whether he knocks a DC out with a head kick, which was one of the more impressive performances I'd ever seen from John, or he's submitting Gustafsson after taking him down, or he's grinding out a decision against Thiago Santos, we're not really surprised anymore by what John does because he is the greatest of all time. And that could be a part of the reason why for me, I scratch my head, but other people are like, it's John Jones, man. What am I going to buy this for? To see him win again? Whereas myself and some of you guys are just fans to want to watch greatness like that. Some people are just not going to shell up the $69 to watch John just obliterate everybody at 205. But it's what makes him the GOAT, man. And the reason I think that John will go to heavyweight, or the Izzy fight could be next as well, as Josh said or Tommy said, is just because that the parity of it. It's not necessarily that Izzy's a tougher fight than Dom Reyes or Izzy's a tougher fight than Corey Anderson, but people want to see it more because Izzy's a little bit more brash. He's calling out a guy 40 pounds heavier than him, and that could probably make some money there. So there's just definitely more valuable options for John, even though it doesn't even seem like the UFC wants that right now, which is even weirder to me. So they were both at Niagara Casino and got in the cage. Said they would never fight each other. That's right. I remember both guys saying that for years in interviews. I know, that was crazy. They were like, we'll never fight each other. We're great friends, all this. And then a couple of years later, they were in there, and John smoked him. My coach doesn't think O'Malley's that good. Here goes my coach. His submission went viral a couple months ago, and Eddie Bravo retweeted it. Personally think O'Malley is good, though. I just don't think the Izzy fight will happen until 2021. Yeah, I don't know, man. Sean O'Malley has his detractors. He has some people that don't necessarily believe that, the Sugar Show is worth the hype, and it's because Sean is, I don't know. It doesn't seem like his ground game's great. I've seen his ground. I've seen some of his ground game. I think he's a brown belt now. He's not bad at all. Got good hips. But then again, John, it's not like Sean is going to be throwing up rubber guard and, giving guys twisters. Like, he's just not going to be doing a lot of that stuff. A lot of Sean's game is to get back and strike with guys and crack and show off these beautiful techniques. At 35, he's very tall, very lanky. And, while there are some guys at 35 that are killers, Sean possesses a lot of the same skills that you would look for in a guy like Israel Adesanya at his weight division. Even a guy like Conor, who have great striking techniques and great timing. But the fact that he is, polarizing, he does throw some shots that are a little bit sloppy, hands from the hips type things. He has some detractors, but for the most part, Sean is still very young, and he's got a lot of time to develop in that cage. Remember, he's only had one UFC fight after his Contender Series fight, or one or two. So he's got a lot of time to develop in there. Daniel says he'll be back. Now, sounds good, brother. Yeah, I don't think the Izzy fight's going to happen for John I don't even think it happens until 2022 or late 2021, because if you're John Jones, the GOAT status, Tommy asked about this. This is why Tommy doesn't think he's the GOAT. It seems like at this stage, more belts, right? I don't personally believe that, but it seems like that's what it is these days, is you have to go and get another belt, whether John goes to heavyweight. I don't see him being able to make it down to 185, so it looks like John at heavyweight. He would have to do that to maintain that GOAT status. And John has said it now for the last year to year and a half about how he wants to be more active, how he wants to build his legacy to leave that mark of the greatest of all time, bar none. Not arguably, not asterisk greatest of all time, the greatest of all time. And to do that, a lot of people are pointing toward heavyweight, and John himself has even said, look, I'm going to heavyweight. So I could see John moving up to heavyweight, doing some trying his luck there, grabbing that title from Stipe, grabbing that title from Francis, whoever has it at that point. I personally think it'd be Francis. I think DC beats Stipe in the third fight. Don't at me with that. That's just what I think. And then maybe something they do with Izzy moving up to 205 and trying to challenge for John's belt while John's kind of trying to defend both simultaneously. I think John could actually do that, by the way, because heavyweight doesn't move as fast as other divisions do. I think John could actually defend those two simultaneously if he wants to be as active as he says he does, because he's talking about being active for the next 10 years, because 205 is kind of predicated upon John, really, Like, Corey Anderson's there, but is he really? Like, would people be upset if Corey Anderson just didn't get an immediate shot if John beats Dom? I don't think so. And again, at heavyweight, like, Francis is there, but outside of him, are people going to get really upset if Curtis Blaydes doesn't get his shot next, or Rosenstrike doesn't get a shot sometime down the road? I don't think so. So, John says, I do think he's the best of all time. No, I think Beeb is more qualified than John, especially if he beats Tony, which I don't think he will. John will have to move to a different division to surpass Habib. Tommy, I would agree with you. I would agree with you guys about Habib if I didn't have the evidence put before me from John Jones. And this is why I say this about Habib. I understand the 28-0. I understand completely undefeated, even though, again, I'm one of those guys that's on the Gleison Tebow train that says, look, I thought Gleison Tebow beat Habib. I thought he beat him soundly. But that's neither here nor there. I'll give you. Habib's 28-0, destroyed Conor 100%, destroyed pretty much everybody he's fought outside of maybe Ali Aquenta and some other guys have given him tough times. But this is where John gets the nod. How many former title holders has Habib beaten right now? 3. I think it's 3. Rafael dos Anjos, Conor McGregor, Dustin Poirier. At least UFC title holders. How many title holders before, present, in the, or past or present has John Jones beaten? I mean, let's go down the line, guys. We're talking about guys like Ryan Bader, who are 2 division champs in Bellator. I understand it's Bellator, but the only reason Ryan Bader's not a champion in the UFC is because of a guy named John Jones. I think Jones is the GOAT for now. Will he hold on to that title is the question. That's the question. For John to consistently be the GOAT, he does have to hold a title, right? He can't lose to Dominic Reyes and then go up and lose at heavyweight. I think John could lose the 205 title, I really do, and still maintain GOAT status if he were to move up to heavyweight and do work up there. And you could attribute it to, like I said, complacency, whatever else. These things are so fluidly moving now. If Habib never loses and John loses the 205 title, Habib's the GOAT. Bar none. But when you talk about the GOAT status and the GOAT argument, John Jones holds that because his level of competition was through the roof when he was making his way through MMA and making his way through the UFC. You're talking about Rashad Evans, former champion. Rampage Jackson, former champion. Ryan Bader, soon-to-be champion. Glover Teixeira, another division or another promotion champion. DC, former champion. I mean, the guy just went through murderer's row at 205 and just beat the brakes off everybody he faced. Lyoto Machida, former champion. Past their prime. Shogun, I mean, was Shogun past his prime? Shogun had just grabbed that strap. He had just grabbed it off Lyoto Machida, who, before Shogun beat him, was undefeated as well. Shogun, after that, did start to fall off in his career, but at that point, we're talking about a very young John Jones and a guy that was mesmerizing everybody in that division. But to act like Shogun didn't just grab that strap off Lyoto Machida, who at that time no one could figure that guy out. At 205, he was really hard to figure out for guys, especially with that kind of karate style that he was using. No one really knew how to combat that. And for Shogun to then grab that strap, John Jones just happened to be the greatest of all time, waiting in the wings. It wasn't like Shogun just got significantly worse because John was the greatest ever. Yeah, I did see Rampage and Fedor, man. He's done. Rampage is done. I don't know what I expected out of Rampage. He keeps ballooning his weight as he's just taking fights for money. He doesn't even want to fight anymore. You can tell when he fights, he doesn't want to fight anymore. And it's not even – I heard Tommy's talking about Uncle Chael. I heard Chael on Brennan Schaub's show yesterday talk about his retirement and if he'd ever do it again. And he said he was talking to his wife, and he said, so she asked him something about, are you really done? He said, honey, I quit 6 years ago. I just retired this year. So that's the type of thing I think about when I think about Rampage or, those kind of guys that are just kind of hanging around and still taking fights that aren't really in it. They quit 6-7 years ago. It's just they haven't retired yet because there's still money to be made. You know what I'm saying? And Chael was the same way. So, yeah, Rampage is getting a gut on him, 100%. No, I'm not saying Shogun was past his prime. I was throwing his name on the list of champs. Yeah. No, John beat some guys. John beat some guys that he made them look really, really bad that were really, really good. And how about this? Josh says Chael got his ass kicked in the Jones fight. He did. 100% John beat the shit out of Chael Sonnen. But John also, his big toe went basically inverted the other way, dislocated, broke his big toe. If that fight goes into the second round and the doctors stop that fight, Chael Sonnen wins a decision or wins a disqualification medical exemption match over John Jones, has a win over John Jones. Can you imagine Chael Sonnen walking around saying he beat John Jones after John just basically split his whole toe in half, beating the living hell out of Chael Sonnen? That would have been the greatest thing. Like, I'm a huge Chael guy, so that would have been the greatest thing hearing the trash talk on their rematch. Yeah. See, that's what Tommy was talking about. Yeah, that would have been prime Chael on the mic, like talking about, I did what everybody else couldn't. I'm the greatest of all time. John Jones couldn't stand a chance against me. I beat him with no effort. The whole thing. It would have been amazing. But yeah, so that's kind of why I considered John what's poppin'? Amaru, my guy. No worries, big dog. We've been chatting a little bit about the Jake Paul card and then some about UFC 247. We were talking about some old fights from John Jones and bringing up the Chael fight, which is pretty funny. Yeah, Chael, that was a heartbreaker against Anderson, man. He to this day is like, it's my biggest regret in MMA is the Anderson fight. And how good is Jake to me? Jake is an below average amateur fighter. I would say that. Jake is an amateur. He's an average amateur fighter. I don't want to say below average. Below average is the guys you see popping up at 32, 33 years old that haven't really boxed, that are learning the sport. Those would be below average amateur fighters. Jake is an average amateur. I don't want to. That's tough though, because amateur boxers technically can make the Olympics. That's the high end amateur boxers are Olympic boxers. So around average, a little bit below average amateur fighter. Matt Hamill, Josh, I think is the name you're looking for. Matt Hamill. For the 12-6 elbows, John got disqualified. It's the only loss John Jones has. Yeah, I did see the Chael retirement speech. Tommy says, dude, did you see the Chael retirement speech talking about his promise to his dad? Chael made this promise he'd be a world champion to his dad, and twice he had that opportunity and twice he failed. And Chael's super open about the fact that he's failed his father and his dad's kind of dying wish and his dying promise to his dad. So that's rough, man. Yeah, it technically is not a loss for John Jones where he lands the 12-6 elbows on Matt Hamill. But it happened, and if it goes down in the loss in the record books, the rule's there for a reason. I know it's not the greatest rule of all time, and it doesn't make sense for a lot of people, but it is there, and you have to abide by it. John was a young guy that was still trying to learn the sport. It happened. No big deal. I honestly think that one being there is good for John to not have that. I mean, John's a pressure. He performs under pressure. It's not like it would matter to him. But that one there, especially at that point, where you don't really even look at it as a loss, is good for a guy that is going to go on to basically be undefeated and the number one fighter that's ever lived. So I don't think it was a big deal. Jake's a decent novice amateur. He could beat a lot of guys that are novice. Yeah, that's kind of where my mindset is. Jake's he's a good novice amateur. I like the way you put that, Josh, because it's not like he's a good amateur, because the good amateurs make good professionals. But I mean, some of the great amateurs, like Vasily Lomachenko, had 300 amateur fights. He was a great amateur. Jake is a novice amateur boxer. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Oh, yeah, by the way, we keep talking about John Jones, Dominic Reyes. We have a really good co-main event, guys, with Caitlin Chugagan and Valentina Shevchenko. I know a lot of people are kind of rolling their eyes at Caitlin really trying to get this done, and Valentina kind of walking through another girl at 25, but do not sleep on Chugagan's opportunity here. Only has 2 losses. Does present some problems on the feet. I know Valentina is a master on the feet, and some people think that Valentina is a Russian asset, and she's just skilled in so many different things, and she's a damn killer when she wants to be on the feet. Got good grappling as well. Not saying that Chugagan's going to win the fight. keep an eye on this card because this could be the legendary upset Saturday. If you guys are big college football fans, every year during the bowl games or during conference championships, they call it upset Saturday because every big name, every big team is on upset alert, especially when there's these kind of no-name teams on the other side of the conference that don't really have a chance coming in and spoiling, for, in this case, John Jones's GOAT status. Valentina Shevchenko is one of the greatest 25ers in women's fighting history. So take a look at this card. It's not going to be as cut and dry as a lot of people think, in my opinion. I think even if Valentina is to win and John is to win, this could be a lot harder than we are looking at it on paper. Amaro says, Jake's good to me. If he keeps training with Mosley, he'll be a beast. Oh, yeah, man. Listen, Jake does have some natural instinct for the sport. He has really good timing. He has great ability to understand pressure and alleviate it. And whether it's with the check left, using his jab, he's really good at using his jab, which is, again, hard to teach guys to keep popping that jab out there. And not just to pop it, not just to kind of punch it, but actually have some meaning behind that jab. Jake's really good at it. Decent footwork. I'll give him his credit. Decent footwork to set up the right hand. Does really well. And again, he's training with Shane Mosley. Like, it's hard to get a better coach than that, isn't it? It's really hard to. Josh says novice or sub-novice, Jake would do well. 8 more fights in amateur. Oh, okay. 8 more fights in amateur boxing is open class, right? 100%. And then Josh was talking about the John Jones fight that he lost. He said a loss makes you appreciate winning a lot more. 100%. 100%. And I think it remotivates you too, And again, while we're talking about the John Jones fight, I'm not saying he's going to lose, but a loss could remotivate a guy like that tenfold, But we'll save that for tomorrow's video. It's trash footage. No worries, Daniel. I'll take a look at it, bud. And Mosley said he hits hard. Yeah, Shane Mosley is also paid. I don't know if he is paid, actually. I don't know how that works with Jake, if he's paying him to train him or whatever. But, Shane Mosley was saying Jake hits hard. And I'm sure Jake does. For a 190-pound guy, I'm sure he hits pretty hard. You'd think that the technique, if it's there from the ground up, that his straight right's going to land with some power, especially him being kind of that cruiserweight division. I'm sure he does hit decently hard. Even though it was a BS loss, I don't think it's a factor in the GOAT race. I'm 100% on that. Oh, you do think that? Okay. It's a blemish, but Dana wants to get that loss removed. That's what I have a problem with. So Tommy is saying that even if it's a BS loss, it's still a loss in the John Jones case, and I'm with him. There is no reason to get a loss removed because they rule set. You know what I'm saying? Like, if the rule is what it is, then change the rule. But if you change the rule, you can't retroactively go back and change the rule for a guy's fight that happened damn near 10 years ago. That's not how the rules work. If that's the case, we should just give back every Super Bowl that was either won or a team got there on a controversial call because, well, we changed the rule now. We got to go back in 10 years ago and change it when for example, the Saints and Rams pass interference call from the NFC Championship a couple of years back. We might as well just go back and say, listen, man, we got to give this. We got to give the Saints a shot here because they got a kind of a crap call. They should be in the Super Bowl. We should just give them a trophy. Like that's not the way it happens. A loss is a loss is a loss. And if you are going to talk about the GOAT status, that's fair to say, look, John has a loss. That's fair to say because John does have a loss. Regardless of how it came or the rule set or if it's BS or not, it's still a loss. So I'm with Tommy on that. No, that's right. So Mosley is Jake's kind of longtime friend because of the kids, and the kids are big fans of Jake. So he's kind of I would just say that take everything out of if a YouTuber is being coached by a professional, I would take what those professionals say with a grain of salt. I would say like when Shannon Briggs was saying Logan Paul was going to win the heavyweight championship and he was the champ already and he was going to beat. Got to take those things with a grain of salt. They're there to promote a content creator, a influencer, an entertainer. So the things they say will be a little bit flamboyant, a little bit exaggerated and over the top because the people they're representing are exaggerated and over the top. So if he says Jake hits hard, I assume that he's probably correct, that Jake probably hits hard, but it's not like Jake hits as hard as a professional cruiserweight boxer would ever hit. I doubt that. I'm enjoying the Nissan Gib memes. Yeah, there's a lot of them out there. There's a ton of them out there. I saw two or three from Gib, and it was they were like putting him next to they were like putting him squatting down next to like a guy because he pulls packs for FIFA games. So when he was like dropped in the first round, they had him on the ground slumped. It was like when you spend however many euros on packs and don't pull like a Messi or something. And they had Jake on the ropes flexing on him and stuff. So those are funny. The memes are always funny, and you got to know what you're getting yourself into anytime you go into YouTube boxing or anytime a big time mainstream YouTuber event. There's gonna be memes involved. Oh yeah, yeah. Dana is about that bottom dollar and selling those tickets. So if he could get John's one erased and have that 25 or I don't even know 25 0 and 1 or 25 0 and 2, then he would definitely do that. But that's not going to happen. I doubt that'll ever happen. Okay, so yes, John Jones, Dominic Reyes this Saturday. We will be live streaming that here at the W.A.D.E Concept. Valentina Shevchenko, Caitlin Chugagan, nice co-main event. Juan Adams, Justin Tafa, another great main event. Derek Lewis, our guy here at the W.A.D.E Concept. He'll be fighting Ilir Latifi. There's a couple good fights, though. Marlon Vera and Jimmy Rivera on the prelim card to kick off the prelim card. So that'll be a big time fight. We might start the live stream there. I'll figure it out. Oh wait, is that fight canceled? Dang, I think Marlon Vera actually got hurt, so that fight's canceled. I think I saw that actually. So we will start the card probably on the Alex Morano fight, excuse me. Probably there, and then watch the rest of the card from there. But be looking for that Saturday. Guys, make sure you get... Of course I'll enjoy, Daniel. Tommy says, brother, got to take off. Hit me up on my email so we can talk. My wife and I have a growing vlog channel. Love to collab. Do I can to promote that channel? My man! 6.3K subs? Holy... For sure, dog. For sure. I'll hit you up. That's crazy. They got some... Yo, you know what I'm saying? Holler at YouTube for me, Tommy. Get him over here on that sub train. You feel me? No worries, big dog. We'll chat it up. Okay, cool. I'm going to check it out for sure. Hey, guys, by the way, Tommy's is got his own vlog channel. If you guys are big vlog fans, go check out my boy's channel. It's him and his lady. 6.3K subs. I'm sure it's great entertainment. If I know Tommy, it's definitely entertaining. So go check out his channel as well, man. But yes. So, Tommy, take it easy, brother. We will holler at you Thursday or Saturday, whenever you're free, man. But yes, make sure you guys check out Tommy's channel. Check me out Saturday. We're gonna be live streaming Thursday. You guys get your picks in. We're doing live stream podcast predictions. We're doing wagers for that card as well. So if I get my picks wrong, you guys already know the deal by now. I'm doing some sort of punishment predictions, wagers, something. We'll be doing some of the apple juice drinking games as well. As you guys know, I like to participate in those, so we'll be doing those. But, yes, be on the lookout for those two. And then we'll just finish off the podcast today with something pretty cool that I'm excited about. We have that non-consistency because I work some... Dude, you guys got a lot going on. That's fair. You're doing OT. Your girl's doing a master's degree. Consistency on YouTube is so hard, man, when you got stuff going on in life. Trust me. This podcast, I've been on and off, and people in the chat, Josh especially, could tell you I've been on and off. I'll take 6-month break. This was, when I first started, I took a big, long break. And then I started back, and then I tried to get it going again. Consistency has been my biggest issue, too, so I can 100% vibe on that. I 100% get it. But for me, it's just been about, when those moments where I've just told myself before, I'd be like, I'll do it tomorrow. I just sat down and recorded it, or sat down and done my live stream, or went out and did something to promote the podcast, or talk to somebody about interviewing, the stuff that I don't necessarily like to do. And I think Tommy knows me well enough to know that sometimes I'm just not vibing on something. I'm not going to do it. I've had to just kind of push that aside and say, no, you know what? If I really want this thing to grow, I'm going to have to actually do it. And, that's the biggest thing I could say is, those moments where you tell yourself you'll do it the next day, or you don't have to record that certain thing, or if it doesn't even feel like you want to do it and you just do it anyway. Sometimes that's the best way to handle it. Cross promote. Yeah, Josh, 100% we need to do that. You honestly hit a lucky break. We only have like 6 videos. Yeah, man. Hey, that's crazy. 6.3K on 6 videos is insane growth. Insane. Thank you. And I wanted to give up. You said what you did to me and I've got up. That's my man. My man, Daniel. That's what I'm talking about, baby. Listen, it's not easy. It's really not. Josh, appreciate you being here, big dog. Take it easy, man. But yeah, it's not easy all the time, but just keep going, big dog. You got it. Just keep going. And Tommy, obviously, you know what it is, big dog. Keep doing your thing. Yeah, you don't want to waste that opportunity, and you guys won't, man. I know you're a hard-ass worker, man, and you put that hard work toward that and all the stuff you do toward the police work and all the stuff your wife's doing toward her master's degree. If you guys can get that and the YouTube, I mean, that's crazy. That's crazy to be able to have that kind of growth, and I know you guys will kill it, man. No sweating on that. I know you guys will do it. For sure. We'll get that email going. I will, you know what I'll do, Tommy, is I'll DM your, you don't have Twitter or anything, do you? I'll figure out a way. We'll figure out a way to get in touch because I forgot what email you sent me. I don't remember if you put it in my YouTube or whatever, but if you got Instagram, put it in the chat, Tommy. I'll DM you. If you got Twitter, I'll DM you there. Appreciate that, Josh. Thanks, man. Thanks. I appreciate that. I'm glad to be back too, man. I'm glad to see some OGs in here like you too, brother. Amaro, take it easy. Yes. Of course, Tommy. Of course. We'll get it done, brother. Okay, real quick, before we sign off. So, scheduling. This is kind of how we're going to start running the podcast. And if you guys are heading out, Tommy, I can see that message that you sent me. I'm just going to leave it here so it's just me that can see it versus everybody else. Because I do not want everybody else having your personal email. But I'll keep it right there. So scheduling wise. So this is kind of how I want to run the podcast now. We'll do some other stuff in between it, but this is what I want to do with the channel going forward. So Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, I want to podcast live with you guys. I know we've had some different kind of moving around, and I want to do the podcast recorded, and then I came back to live. I don't want to go away from the live. I love doing the live stuff. So Tuesday, Thursday, Saturdays, live podcasts. Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, we're going to do recorded content. And I think Mondays and Wednesdays will be reserved for reactions, fight breakdowns for the coming main event. And I think Fridays we're actually going to start doing some fitness stuff. I really think that it'd be cool to get into the fitness realm. So I think we're going to start doing a little bit of Fitness Fridays. I don't know if it necessarily will have that name, but it'll have something to do with fitness. And then maybe we start looking at doing some of the live streaming gaming because I already have this channel, and I thought, I was talking to Kelsey about this last night, and I was like, when we sit and think about it, what does the W.A.D.E concept really mean? Does it really just mean that I have to be debating fighting? Does it really just mean that I have to be debating, boxing and MMA? And those are things I love doing. But why don't we just take that pause. But why don't we just take that and have it mean we are doing everything as well? And so I think that I want to have some sort of gaming aspect, whether that's as consistent as I'd like it to be right now. It might not be, but I was splitting myself. I have a Twitch, and I have this, and I have that. Why don't I just put it all in one spot? So I think that's what we're going to do. So look for gaming content, maybe 6 hours a week or so. If I can do 2 hours short kind of live streams, and you guys can hop in and we can do the gaming stuff. But also, I want to make sure that we stick with this fighting because it's my favorite sport. I've fallen in love with this sport. I love it to death. I'm actually starting to practice it more and more, and those will be some of the recorded videos you guys will get on a Monday or a Wednesday. And we'll start that tomorrow. We're going to have a Dominic Reyes, John Jones strengths, weaknesses kind of breakdown and X factors to the fight. That's coming out tomorrow for you guys. And like I said, live streams Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturdays, and then Sundays we'll have off. So that's kind of the schedule going forward. And yeah, I hope you guys like it, man. I really appreciate the conversations in chat today, man. You guys are, excuse my language, you guys are fucking amazing. Love you to death. Tommy, Daniel, Amaru, Josh, Amir that came in. I saw Amir in here. So everybody that popped in, thank you so much. This podcast is going to keep growing, and I keep saying it, but it's so true. 2020 is our year, man. I can't wait to spend it with you guys. So I will see you Thursday for the live stream. I will see you tomorrow in video form, and I will see you Saturday for our live stream reactions to UFC 247. Until then, guys, take it easy.